What's up, guys? Chris's body double from Mainely. That's just a really bad joke. Woo, I'm so funny. It's still Chris here from Mainely Mesh. I haven't separated myself from the GoPro yet. Now I'm going to take you through the sidewalls of this Maverik Optik U in case you weren't reading the title of this video. Already got my starter knot ready. I'm going to take you through both sides this time, fast forwarding one side just so you can see kind of the flow of how I string my sticks normally. So going to go outside in of the third sidewall hole. So we're tying this first 10 diamond row to the third sidewall hole. Just going to do a single loop here. Like I said, if you have pliers, you can usually do a double loop. It's actually easier to do it on the third hole than it is on the first, but I'm being lazy today, so I'm just going to do a single loop. Then you are going to tie yourself an anchor knot on the fifth sidewall hole. So how we do that is we're going to come up outside in of the fifth sidewall hole, up through the second 10 diamond row, and then as you can see I have this big old loop here. I'm going to come from the left side and I'm going to go down through this loop, but make sure as you see there's a string behind it. Got to go to the left of that. So as I go to the left there, I can start seeing that there's this nice little overhand knot that's being formed. In order to tighten this, I really want to make sure that I'm pulling from the inside of the head first. So I'm pulling as tight as I can from the inside, and you can see the string kind of situate itself, and then I'm going to pinch the bottom of the string with my inside hand so it doesn't lose tension like that. So I pull it tight, pinch with my inside hand, and then pull down that anchor knot. That's how you get the anchor knots nice and tight and making sure they're as consistent as possible. From here, I'm going to skip a hole and then tie a knotted SI. In order to do that, I have to go down through this third 10 diamond row from the outside in of the seventh sidewall hole. And then as I come up, coming out to the left side, and once again, I'm using this little loop and just tying that knot once again. So I'm coming down through that loop, but I also have to make sure I come out to the left of the string behind it. So as you can see, there's a loop and there's a string behind it. I'm coming down to the left there, forming that overhand knot, pulling really tightly from the inside, pinching it with my inside hand so I don't lose tension, pulling that knot tight before I go back up. And then I'm going to go back up through this third 10 diamond row and situate it right nice and snug on top of that diamond. From here I'm going to skip and do another knotted SI, so I'm coming down through the fourth 10th diamond row, outside in of the ninth sidewall hole. Once again, tying that knot first, so I'm going down through this hole, out to the left side, pulling that nice and tight, pinching with my inside hand, pulling that diamond really tight, and then up through that diamond again. And now here I'm doing another knotted SI, but I'm doing that flip version that I mentioned in the command pattern. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going down once again, tying that knot once again. But what I'm going to really want to make sure here is if you see how this mesh diamond is flipped right now, so it's kind of inverted a little. Let me see if I can get that. So you can see this string is running on the outside of the mesh. So if this is the flat side of the mesh and this is the rough side of the mesh on the inside, right now this string is in contact with the smooth side of the mesh instead of it going and touching the rough side of the mesh. I want to make sure it stays touching that smooth side of the mesh as I tie this knot here. So same thing, I'm going down through that hole, coming out through the left side, pulling it tight, and pulling my knot. As you can see, this mesh diamond is still touching the string with its smooth side. Now when I come back up, I want to make sure that unlike the knots before it, where the knot ended up sitting on the rough side of the mesh, I'm actually going to make sure this knotted SI stays touching the smooth side when it gets situated. So this is a very nuanced little thing. It honestly doesn't matter all that much, but it's kind of a nice little aesthetic touch. See if you can notice here that it transitions from the knot sitting on the rough side of the mesh to the knot sitting on the smooth side of the mesh here. That's just going to allow for a little bit more play with that knotted SI. After I do my 5 knots, my first 5 knots including the tie up top, so I've used my first 5 10 diamond rows, I like to switch to the other side and go through the stacked SI. So I'm going to flip speed things up a little bit, and then come back to this side. So I said I was going to go through the stack on that side, but I lied because I want to show you the tutorial on this side first and be true to you guys. I don't want to ruin your trust. So we're skipping before we do our stacked SI here. So this was the 9th through 10th. I don't even know anymore. Basically, I'm coming a down 1 through the 6th 10 diamond row, down through the 7th 10 diamond row. Come on, Chris, you can do it. So I essentially have like a 2 right now. Then I'm going to go outside in after skipping a sidewall hole, as you can see here. Outside in. Except this time I'm going to come back up to the right side. Pull that little interlock tight. And then I'm going to come up through the 7th before I go up through the 6th. And that, my friends, is a stacked SI. But I'll take you through it again one more time. Easily one of the more confusing knots when you first do it, and one of the most valuable once you learn how to do it. So it's always worth practicing your stacked SIs. Going down through that 6th 10 diamond row, down through the 7th, outside in after skipping a sidewall hole, pulling up to the right side. You can pull it tight if you want. It doesn't really matter, but sometimes it helps to pull it a little bit tight. Up through the 7th, and then up through the 6th. So essentially we go down 6, down 7, outside in, up 7, up 6. So you go down, down, up, up. Then we're going to pull this nice and tight. Very important to get this nice and tight. The tighter you can pull it, actually the tighter, the less likely this knot is to fray. Sometimes if you leave a little bit of movement there, this little section of the sidewall string can fray. So I like to pull it nice and tight and then immediately tie it off into a knot right behind it. To me, somebody asked in the command video what that actually did instead of letting it float. We had some issues with that string breaking sometimes, so it's more to just preserve the overall quality of the overall durability of the string. The String King strings have gotten a lot better over time, so it doesn't happen as much anymore, but it's better safe than sorry. Then we're going to be doing a 1, so we're going down through the 8th diamond, outside in of the next hole, tying that knot once again. Then we're going down. We're doing another 1 here, so down through the 9th diamond, outside in, and tying another knot. So we're coming out through the left side, down through that hole, down and out. Pulling it nice and tight, always pulling from the inside first, so you can see I don't have any wiggle room in my 1s down here. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want those strings to break. I don't want an illegal pocket, you know. And then I'm doing a 1 skip to finish this out. So I'm going down through the 10th and final diamond that I'll be using, skipping a sidewall hole, and coming from the inside out of the last sidewall hole, pulling that nice and tight, and then once again doing our finishing knot of a simple overhand. There's a little bit of space left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie another overhand knot and make sure it comes underneath the first overhand knot. Now I'm going to blitz through the other side for you guys. And there we are with our ugly looking pocket before we break it in. So I'm going to move on to the throat string tutorial before I show you how I break this pocket in, and we'll go from there.